A brutal crackdown is taking place inside Iran, including mass executions and political arrests. This time, it's not hidden. A former war crimes prosecutor is sounding the alarm to warn the world of an unfolding massacre happening in plain sight. CBN's George Thomas has the details.
Stephen Rapp, former U.S. ambassador at large in the Office of Global Criminal Justice, tells CBN News the Iranian regime isn't just cracking down with arrests or beatings, it's using executions to silence dissent, with the numbers rising fast after the recent war with Israel.
There are thousands of political prisoners, and they could charge them with these phony charges and begin mass executions, really judicial murders of peaceful opponents.
In 2023, Iran executed more than 850 people. A year later, that number jumped to 975. And now, just 8 months into 2025, over 700 executions have already been recorded.
The Islamic Republic continues to be the leading state sponsor of executions, second to the Chinese Communist Party.
Among those put to death, 3 Kurdish men and a top nuclear scientist accused of collaborating with Israel.
The regime fears its people more than a potential external attack because ultimately, in their perspective, they can absorb any attack on their military installations. However, if the discontent internally will to expand and lead to nationwide unrest as it has in the past, it would really be the key catalyst for regime collapse.
Others sentenced to death are charged with vague offenses like, quote, enmity against God.
What I fear is instead of 1,000 a year, we could end up with literally tens of thousands being executed.
People are being rounded up all over the place. People are being stopped in the streets and told to hand over their cell phones while they check messaging history, photos taken, phone calls made, websites visited. I mean, it's just blanket across the board. Cars are being stopped and checked. Homes are being raided. No one is safe.
And it's not only political activists being targeted.
As the internal crackdowns expand and intensify, the religious minorities tend to be on the front lines of this repression apparatus.
Just last month, 21 Iranian Christians were arrested in these 6 cities. Officials accused them of spreading Zionist Christianity and, quote, acting against national security.
Those two things are the classic accusations for Christians when they get arrested and charged with something. Of course, the government just wants to stop the spread of Christianity in Iran, but this is amplified now because they are paranoid.
Days after the Israel-Iran ceasefire, the regime's state-run Fars news agency, which is tied to the Revolutionary Guard, openly called for a repeat of the 1988 massacre, when 30,000 political prisoners were secretly executed.
They got away with murder, mass murder in 1988. They think they can get away with it again.
As executions mount and repression deepens, human rights advocates warn the almost worldwide silence only enables the regime's growing brutality.
As long as the international community, the United States and Europe particularly, do not speak up against these heinous crimes, the regime therefore doesn't feel any obligation to scale back its internal repression.
George Thomas, CBN News.
And CBN News will not be silent and continue to cover this. Gordon?
We will let our voices be heard on behalf of the Christians in Iran and again on behalf of those who protest this horrible government. Just imagine a government saying, we're going to repeat a massacre where 30,000 political opponents were executed, that they're proud of that, that they want to use that. The regime itself is a weapon of mass destruction. We talk a lot about their acquisition of a nuclear weapon and what would happen to Tel Aviv if they ever got one. But the regime itself, this ideology of hatred, that there are little Satans and great Satans, and we're here on behalf of the cause of Islam, and we want to stand against the infidels and all of that. It's all hate speech, and I don't understand our own politics on this. You know, why progressives, so-called progressives, would want to support this. Can you imagine being a woman in Iran and you're subject to being beaten by the religious police because your scarf isn't tied right? It's absolutely unimaginable. This is horrific. I wish we had taken out that government. I know that's really hard to say, and I'll probably be criticized for it, but they are absolute evil. And they've been evil against their own citizens for decades, and they've exported that evil to Iraq and to Lebanon. They've tried to take out Israel several times. They launch missiles. They've had these ballistic missiles. They're supplying Russia with drones. All of these horrible things are going on, all because of an ideology at the top. That ideology has to change for there ever to be peace in the Middle East.